She had so much love in her. And when she died, I just...
Okay, Nana, could you tell us a little bit about England and how you grew up there and where you were born and where you lived in England and what was it like, please?
Well, I lived in England many, many years ago. And my mother and father were married when they were... Dad's was about 2 years younger than Mum.
And what year were they married, do you know?
It would be a few years before the First World War.
Right. And you were born in 1912?
On the first.
First of the first?
First of the first.
Right.
And I was a New Year's Eve baby. And my mother was getting ready to go to a nice party, New Year's party. And I just happened to start to arrive into the world. I wasn't due till the next day. And I started to arrive into the world, so she couldn't go to the party. She had to stop home and have a baby. And that baby was me.
And what town did you live in England?
Newcastle on Tyne.
Do you remember, was it a coal place? Do you remember what it looked like, what it was like?
It was a mining town, but we lived near Backworth, and that was the mining town. That's where my grandfather worked. And but although I lived for 7 years in England, yet I never once went to see London.
So you never actually saw London?
Never saw London. I lived not far from it. And we came all upset around that time because the war was coming. And before the war, 4 years before the war...
Just hold on a second, Helen.
A few years before the war came.
Hold on. Okay. What happened then?
Dad was working mines, there were coal mines all around that.
And your dad's name was?
John Fenwick.
John Fenwick.
Yes. And he was, Mum didn't know, but he was hoarding up some money and putting it away to come over to Australia, because they said that on Sydney streets you could pick up nuggets of gold. It was a rich country. And he was sick of the mining and he wanted to make an easy living. So he didn't tell Mum, and he didn't even tell Mum that he was going to come over here. He just told her when he was leaving.
Right, so she never knew until he was actually going.
Until he was ready to go.
And how did your mum take that?
Well, she couldn't do anything. She had 2 babies. No, she had 2 babies.
And where did she stay when he left?
We were boarding Bertram Place.
Right. So how was your mum going to survive without your father?
She wouldn't have been able to, only for my grandparents. My grandmother on Mum's side, her own mother and father, wouldn't have been able to survive because they kept us in food. They came over every day to see that we had enough to eat. Mum could have got a job in a munitions factory, but she had nobody to mind the babies. So she couldn't go. and we got enough, but Mum had to sign. Mum was supposed to sign for Dad to come over here, and he signed his own name.
And
She wouldn't sign.
right, so after your dad left for Australia, he come here before the First World War?
First World War.
And did he fight in the First World War at all?
Yes, he was an Anzac. He joined up in Australia.
As an Australian?
As an Australian
soldier. And
soldier.
Where did he fight?
Germany. France and Germany.
Right. And how long was he over there for?
Oh, well, the war lasted for 4 years.
So he was over there the full time, or 4 years?
He was over there before.
Of which your mum didn't know where he was at that time, or?
No, he used to send her a letter now and again, but very little he'd tell her.
Right.
She didn't know, for instance, that he had a girlfriend over here.
No.
Where he was boarding. Stella Montgomery. Funny, I still remember her name. And I don't know whether she's alive or dead, but I know she never married.
Right, so that was over. And where did your father live when he came over here?
He stayed at Montgomery's. It was a boarding house.
Right, and that was at?
Curry.
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 Right, so that was a hostel for people that come in from other countries, was it? Or?
It was a boarding house for anyone who wanted a room.
Right. And when did you and your mum and your rest of their family come over from England to actually meet up with?
Oh, not until the war was over.
Right. And how did you come over?
Well, we couldn't have come over, only that Mum got the bright idea of sending to headquarters because Dad hadn't sent for us, and sending to headquarters for money for passage over to Australia. And the government provided us with money for food and clothes, everything we need. And I had to leave my grandmother though, because she was my other mother.
So you're very close to her?
Very close to her and my grandfather.
And what was it like? Where did you actually leave? What was it like leaving her? Did you see her off, or did she see you off?
No, she wouldn't. She saw us off in the taxi to go down to get the boat to come over to Australia. But she wouldn't come down to the harbour.
And what was her name?
Jenny. That's why I wrote that book, Goodbye Jenny.
Right, so that was your grandmother?
That was my grandmother.
And your grandfather was named?
William.
Right, William. And they were good people?
Very good people. Good Christians.
Right, and you never saw them again after you left England?
No.
Right. And how long were you on the ship for, coming over?
Oh, we must have taken us 12 months or so to get over, because it was slow passage. And a rough passage too. We nearly went down one night. We had to all wear our lifeboat belts. And we used to have a drill on deck every morning.
And what year was this? About 1918, it was
Yes,
straight after the
yes.
war.
Mm.
Right, so you would have like returned soldiermen also on the ship?
Yes, them and their families.
Right.
And there were so many children that by the time we got over to Australia, I was already speaking in Australian tongue. They expected to see a lot of little pommies. But they were disappointed because we spoke as good as what they did.
Mm. And where did you first meet your dad? Did he come and pick you up?
He came to meet us at the boat.
And where was that, at Sydney or Newcastle?
No, he went to Newcastle. He wouldn't go to Sydney.
Right. And then where did you go to live?
Went to live with Mrs. Montgomery. the boarding house. We boarded there for 6 months.
And after that, what happened?
After that, we moved out to the soldier settlements. The government provided us with a brand new home, a cow, and 6 acres of fertile ground, and 1,000 white leghorn chooks.
Right.
Plenty of cakes, plenty of eggs.
So 1,000 chooks. And was that farm a success?
Well, poor Mum had to do a lot of the feeding of the chooks, I'm afraid,
Like your father?
because Dad got on the drink. Never drank before he went to the war. He used to go to teach Sunday school. And but his life changed dramatically after the war, because he'd been gassed twice and blown up twice, and it had its effect on him. He was backwards and forwards
And
to
what?
hospital.
So mentally it was a strain to him, and he came back a different man.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he obviously started drinking more, and
Yes, mixing methylated spirits with it.
that's no good. So your mother basically tried to take over the farm, and
Well, she was carrying the heavy buckets of wheat and corn and water right down the hills to the chooks. And she was feeding them while he was in curry drinking. And there was the night that he came home. He walked through the bush, and he went to sleep in the bush. Woke up the next morning to find a snake crawling over him. But he used his wits. He just kept still, because it was a deadly snake. And he kept still, didn't move. The snake got off, went back in the bush.
And so after the that place that you're at, the soldier settlement, where was that located?
Between Western and Curry.
Right, and
And Sawyer's Gully. There's a turning round where you went to Sawyer's Gully.
So it was near Sawyer's Gully.
Yes, yes.
And that's where the 6 acres were.
Yes.
And that was under your father's name, Jack?
Yes, yes. That was his, given to him by the government.
Right. And eventually that farm was lost, was it? It was.
Well,
you had to sell it?
We had to sell it, yes. Because he got into debt drinking. And used to have to get someone to come and pull him out of the pub.
Right. And after you left there, where did you go from there? When did you actually make it to Maitland?
Well, we lived on the soldier settlements for 4 years. We used to walk 3 miles to school and 3 miles back home again. And
That was at Curry?
that was on soldier settlements. Yes, Curry School we went to.
Right.
Well, it was situated between Western and Curry. But that was when Dad used to make whoopee with the soldiers. And Mum would have his dinner cooked, and he'd come home and throw it all over the walls. He used to go stark raving mad.
Oh, okay. And when did you actually meet Ron?
Oh, when we used to go down the street at Friday night, us girls used to do a bit of shopping and have a walk. That was the meeting place, down the street on Friday night. And
he was a funny guy?
he was a funny guy.
Was he what was his character like?
Very good. He was a good man, a good boy. Very good boy. Some of them were a bit rough.
And he used to box, I hear.
Yes, he loved boxing.
And pretty good.
He was, but it's too rough a game.
So you were married in the early 30s, and from there, how long was it before you shifted into Lindsay Street House?
Oh, many years.
So you were shifting from house to house, just
Yes.
renting?
We went to about half a dozen houses in Maitland.
In the Maitland area.
Mm.
Eventually buying this house.
Yes, through a fluke. Fluke in the books, in the where we were applying for the house. They got it mixed up, so they'd gone that far into it that they let us have it.
Right.
Couldn't do any other.
Right. And Ron worked in Hexham?
Hexham. At the
Hexham Engineering, was it?
engineering works, yes.
As a labourer?
Yep.
Right. And what was it like going through the Depression years then?
Well, it was like with everyone, it was pretty hard. You couldn't buy clothes, very few clothes. Towels you bought in the war years, the Second World War, were only white ones. You couldn't get anything pretty, and towels or anything.
And what about the food situation? Was that?
You had coupons.
And that was in the Depression years?
Yes, yes.
And that was coupons even though he had a job. Did he have a job all the way through the Depression?
Well, yes, he had the job, but he wasn't working full time.
So he was on casual.
Mm.
Right. And after the Depression, the war came.
Mm.
And what some of the memories you have of the war there?
Yes, we're always frightened that, we were always frightened we were going to have a bomb on us. We were digging out tunnels, weren't we? We were digging out tunnels where you could go if there was going to be a bomb raid. And the Japs tried to take Australia. Japanese tried to take Australia.
And that was Darwin. Do you remember what you were doing when that happened? When they actually attacked Darwin?
Well, I think we were doing a lot of praying at the time, all around the country. And as I said, we had the meeting down at the army, especially for that, for the turning of the tide. And there wasn't a great many came.
That was the Salvation Army.
The Salvation Army. And but I felt that the hall was full of people. We could not see who were helping us. But from that moment on, because I was thinking now I had David a baby, and if he could be killed, blown up.
To the war.
Yes, yes.
You remember when they attacked Darwin? What was your feelings then? Were you really scared?
Yes, we were really scared.
You thought they were going to come?
We thought it could happen.
Right.
But our faith was repaid.
And Pa was very worried about that?
Yes, well, he nearly went to the Second World War.
And what's the story there?
Because I happened to fall pregnant with my third baby. So he couldn't go and leave me because
It was actually your fourth.
Fourth baby.
Yeah.
I couldn't go. I had the other children and I had no money. I couldn't get a job having children, and so he couldn't leave me. I remember I sat on his knee and cried. I said, "You can't leave me. You can't leave me like this."
And he decided to stay for you?
Yes, he decided to stay for me.
Which is a good thing?
Yes, it was too. He may have been killed.
Mm.
Who knows?
Mm. What else comes out? I heard you did some jobs around Maitland. I heard you got a story about Aberglasslyn.
Yes, yes. That was supposed to be haunted, Aberglasslyn.
Aberglasslyn House.
Aberglasslyn House. That was where some man from Sydney had bought it for to live in, and he had sold it, and the government was taking it over, and I went to work there for about 4 months, and I slept upstairs in the dark. It had what they call a spiral staircase, which has since been very popular, and housekeeper and I used to sleep upstairs, and the owners used to sleep downstairs. They were safer sleeping downstairs. Bomb cone would hit the roof and get us first. But I enjoyed my days out. I used to have Sunday afternoons off to go home and to walk around.
And what was the spooky thing that happened there?
Oh, well, they said that it was haunted, but I didn't see anything. But there was one night when the housekeeper and I were waiting for the men coming in from work. They used to work right down the end paddock and sowing seeds of vegetables and things. And Miss McKeechie was over town shopping. There was only Agnes and I there. And we heard the man's footsteps walk right from the front door, which was a long, long way. It was a long house, big house. And we heard them walk distinctly up to the kitchen door, and then they stopped. And it sounded like a man's steps. So I looked at Agnes and she looked at me. That's queer. So we both got up. We decided we'd be brave. We both got up and went to the door. But there was nobody in the hall. Went out the front, nobody around. And over the other side of the river, there was only one farm. And there was nobody around there. And when the men came in for tea, Miss McKeechie came home, they all laughed at us and said we were imagining things.
And do you remember what Maitland was like when you were a child? Was it, or when you were younger? Was it a different town altogether? And it would have had
Yes.
trams and...
Yes, trams. I used to work for a while in what's some place that you go to in the tram?
Station.
I used to go everywhere in the trams. They used to take you for miles then.
And where did they go, up the main street of Maitland?
Yes, Main Street. And I worked for a while at Morpeth. The lady who was been in hospital sick, had an operation, she needed someone for housework. So I went out to Morpeth. I used to go by train.
A train out to Morpeth?
There was a train out there to them, go in this little train.
And was it, so it had a different atmosphere? Maitland was a totally different atmosphere then?
Oh yes, it was only a spread out town. Shops here and shops there. Of course there was a Woolworths. There's usually a Woolworths and everything.
No, that would have been later in the 60s.
Yes.
Oh, what was it like? Was it rough on the settlements with the soldiers? Like they were all returned soldiers, so I can imagine there would have been a lot of problems there.
Yes, there was too. And those men who'd been so brave and so loyal in the war were a bit of larrikins when they came back home. Booze parties and drinking going on. And
what was it like for children with that sort of thing?
well, we had 3 miles to walk to school and 3 miles back.
What about when the parties and everything was going on there?
Yes.
What happened with the kids?
Well,
as a kid, what did you stay away from them, or?
Yes. Well, I didn't mix with them very much. There wasn't so many tiny children, but they had a woman who was a housekeeper for one of our neighbours, Mr. Budge, and he had this lady, if you could call her a lady, from Sydney, and she was living there, and she'd entertain the troops. She'd get up on the kitchen table and sing her wild songs and drink her beer. But my mother got an idea when Dad was drinking too much beer, and she would get the bottles when he was asleep, empty the beer down the sink and fill the bottles up with cold tea.
And did he mistreat you as a dad, or was he good, or?
No, he wasn't very good. I would always say I loved my mother, but my father at that time was a different man.
Do you remember him as before he went to the war?
No, he wasn't ever a loving man, I don't think, for children. I don't remember my dad ever nursing me. But I remember that I used to tip his barrow over sometimes when us kids playing around the yard, and he'd always go for me and give me a knockout punch. He never slapped me. He just punched me. He must have been used to punching men in his drunken sleep, I think. And I'd go down like a log. I did, honest. And everything blacked out. I was just down there for a while. I have to get up again.
So it was pretty rough.
It was rough.
And he died a lonely man?
He died a very lonely man because the drink got him. And he couldn't get away from it, and Mum couldn't put up with it.
And that was all due to the war?
All due to the war, yes. He was a different man before the war.
Right. What else we could talk about? Let me think. The 55 flood was obviously an event in Maitland that is long to be remembered.
It was.
So do you remember what Maitland was like and the atmosphere and just the general happenings of Maitland during that time for you and Ron?
Well, I was going with Ron at the time, and he liked me so much. He walked the river bank. He walked around the river bank to get to Maitland.
That would actually be the 33 flood, wouldn't it?
It was a big flood.
The 1930 flood.
Because I had the pictures of it. And he'd come and see me, walk back home again. I had a photo of him in the flood somewhere, but some of our photos have gone with some of the children.
Yeah.
You couldn't buy any decent clothes during the wartime and flood time. It took all the goodness out of the country.
Was Ron a very good father?
A wonderful father and a wonderful husband.
So you had 4 children?
Yes.
And they were all good kids?
Well, yes, they were all good children. They used to tell me they didn't, when they got their cars, that they didn't drive too fast, but I'm afraid they told a few whoppers there.
Oh.
I found out once they grew up, they told me some episodes they had where they nearly had accidents. Well, we did have one accident when we were going to Doug's. He lived out in the country, way out in the country. And Ron did the wrong thing. He took the steering wheel, and he tried to